Next topic, though, I know is something that Eric is excited about. Do you want to give everyone a background on this Dragon Quest movie?
Yeah, it's a movie that's based on uh, Dragon Quest V,
Here,
one of my favorites.
I'm gonna try to pull up the trailer for it.
Uh,
This is
um,
not it, by the way.
yeah, it's a story of the hero who I don't know if the hero's got a name in this one. I'm not entirely sure what they said in the Japanese. Who ventures out in the world seeking the legendary hero and finding the gear for him, and to stop the evil that killed his mother and father. And that's the overall story to it. And I'm kind of wondering how they're going to take a game that was pretty long. Well, I think you could sink about 30 to 40 hours into a movie, but I don't know if you guys but he's pulling up the trailer right now. Like, this isn't normal Japanese animation. This is something like more you see from like DreamWorks or like How to Train Your Dragon. It looks
Hmm.
like it looks like Western animation. It's not even Akira Toriyama's art style, but it still looks really good. The production value is just so uh it's like it's a very high production value. Like, it may not look like Akira Toriyama's artwork, but it's still got the spirit of Dragon Quest. Just watching the trailer, like, the character designs look great, the action looks great. I mean, like, just the presentation value of it looks tremendous. Now, I don't know if this will be the movie that says you can make a video game movie, but one can hope with this one.
Yeah, that's my big thing is that I don't think I've ever seen a video game movie that was actually very good. But then when I look at the production value on this movie, it looks really, really polished. You know, some of the people that are involved intimately with Dragon Quest games are involved with this movie. You have the composer of the series working on this. Yuji Horii is a, I don't know, they said he's got some kind of supervisory role. I'm sure he's just there to say no, that's not very Dragon Quest. But when you look at this movie, this isn't like they tried to make it into something else, right? Like the Final Fantasy movie, Spirits Within, that was not a Final Fantasy movie. You know, they just threw the Final Fantasy name on it. This actually looks like something that would be in a that like this looks like a Dragon Quest game or a movie. Like this doesn't look like, you know, some weird adaptation that is only slightly related. So I am with you though. I don't know how they're going to take such a long game and make it into a good movie.
I
I
watched
think that.
this trailer
Mhm.
and I know every scene in here. I know what scene it comes from. It's like they really are taking the game and translating it over. Like, I noticed the scenes that are like in the game, the characters and everything. It's just I recognize it all. It's like this is going to be. I think it's going to be very faithful to the game.
Yeah. If any, this is a good time to bring up. If any of y'all like Dragon Quest V, we did review that game, so make sure you check that video out. But anyways, so yeah,
In
it
short,
looks
go play it.
it looks like it's going to be really really good. I was surprised. Apparently this has been announced for a while now, but I didn't know about it until this trailer. But it looks like it's supposed to come out in August this year in Japanese anyways. So
I'm
I'll be,
really hoping it gets a Western localization.
and I got
That'd
to
be nice.
think, yeah, and I got to think that at the very least like they'll release a version with subtitles, which I would watch that for sure.
Oh, it'll get subtitles when it gets released a video, and I'll buy a copy. I'll get the Blu-ray from Japan and have it shipped here as long as it has English subtitles to it. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was interesting that the director of this movie, I don't obviously know his career or anything, but I was looking up his kind of his career in Japan as a director, and this isn't some like off-name director, right? They said he won a Japanese Academy Award for Best Screenplay uh, on three different occasions. and he won one for best director as well in Japan. So like this is, I'm kind of impressed they actually got like a actually well-known person to direct the movie, right? It's not like they just got with the Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. They're just like, oh, you know, the art director, yeah, he's gonna direct this movie, even though he's never directed a movie ever in his life. He's gonna do this movie. Like, like they actually got somebody that does movies and that's like well known. So that just goes to speak how big Dragon Quest is in Japan.
Square learned their lesson this time. Don't make your own movie studio. Just let someone else do it.
Yeah. So I'm excited to watch it. It looks really, really polished. I'm curious to see which story segments they just skim over in the aim of time. I suspect it's going to be about an hour and 45 minutes. So
it might be longer. You gotta. There's a unless they're going to trim out a lot of fat.
I don't know, man. It's a CG movie. I know that can't be cheap. So
I think an hour and a half to 2 hours. 2 hours at most.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like later sections of the game with that whole transition. That's.
But notice where it says choose
tough.
your story. And you know in the game you choose in the original version you choose between two women to marry.
Uh-huh.
And in the DS remake there's three you can pick from, but I didn't see the third one in there. So I assume they're going to do like the original two. Do you think they're going to make it so you can choose like in the theater or something, or like two different versions of like, like the person you pick? Because no, look at the story. It's like it's called Your Story. Like, are we going to have some interactive involvement with it?
Maybe, but I think what they mean is like, hey, this is such a story that's such ingrained in our culture. It's your story, like it's your nostalgic story, like the story you grew up with. But I don't know. I see what you're saying when it says your story. That is an interesting point. Like, would they have different theater rooms? Like, hey, this is this bride. This is this bride. Go to the story you want. Or are they going to have like a vote in the theater? Like, I don't know. It is. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I believe in the Dragon Quest lore that that Bianca is the canon wife you choose. But the game is still set up that you pick her or pick her up or the other.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. What I did think is interesting is because this is a film adaptation, they had to add a voice actor for the protagonist. So it's going to be interesting to see if people have a problem with, what this character sounds like. They obviously had to write dialogue for the protagonist because they can't just have somebody that doesn't speak for 2 hours. That would be weird in a movie format. So
now I would like to point out, have you ever seen the movie Clue? The movie that was based off the board game?
No.
Did you know that there's did you know they had more than one ending they showed in theaters?
No.
Like if you went to the theater, you may have gotten one ending, and if you went and saw it again the next day, there would be a different ending.
I don't like that.
But if you watch it on video, it gives you both versions.
Oh, okay.
But that's a little thing they did, a little experiment they did in the movie theater. I was definitely, I don't remember when the movie came out. I was either too young or I wasn't born yet. But that was an interesting experiment, and I'm wondering if that's something they might try again with this movie.
Yeah, it might be kind of interesting to see if that works, especially given that, a lot of that game has decisions that you can make that will, alter certain segments of the game. So, yeah, it'll be interesting how they handle that. I did not know that about Clue, though. However, I suspect because I did not know that about Clue, it did not work successfully. Because I had not heard of it. I didn't know they made a Clue movie.
I think the nature of Clue, it's appropriate because when you play the board game, it's a different outcome every time. Like I think they were trying to emulate that to the movie, which entertaining. I don't think it works like normally for other movies where
sure
people want a strict narrative structure to it.
Yeah. So I don't know. This looks really, really cool, though. I definitely want to check it out. So I'm gonna try to watch it as soon as possible. I'll even watch it in Japanese with some like fan translations over or something if that's my only option, because I definitely want to check it out. It looks really, really cool.
Totally not a bootleg version put on the internet with,
Yeah,
with
or
fan translation.
like watch like 19 3-minute parts on YouTube or something.
We don't approve of that type of stuff here.
So, anyways, well, we kind of approve. If it gets me to watch it, I'm kind of approval. Anyways, so we had